What's going on, everybody? We are back with another video. So, my last video, we did the predictions for the UFC 250 Freedom card. So, let's do a reaction to that because the card was just last night. Yeah, I kind of got it out a little late. I think I need to try to do that a little bit quicker on this next one so that maybe more people can watch it. But regardless, it was like my first like full MMA video, was pretty cool. It was supposed to be a short, but apparently we didn't know how to tell that that was a short. It's fine. Uh, Regardless, let's get into it. We'll go ahead and get into it a little bit. This was the first card at the UFC White House, which was really really cool. There were two title fights. There was an interim heavyweight title fight. The winner of that fight, we're hoping, is going to take on Tom Aspinall, and the main event was for the lightweight championship of the world. Uh, Another fight that I was looking very much forward to, so it kind of made sense for this to be the first card I got to finally cover. But regardless, let's shut up and we'll get into the conversation there. So you had Diego Lopez. He was taking on, I believe his name was Steve Garcia, if I remember correctly. Quickly look. Yep, he was. Diego Lopez, I believe his record goes up to 28-8 with this one. But regardless, you have Steve Garcia, who he's starting off the fight really, really well. He's keeping the pressure on. He's keeping his hands away from Diego Lopez. Yeah, he's doing basically the ultimate thing that you want him to do in those cases. So I was definitely impressed with that. The problem, I think, was it came in the second round. I think Steve Garcia got a little bit less patient. He started kind of like letting his hands go, and he stopped. He kind of gave up on the game plan, and Lopez, obviously getting a little bit frustrated, being kept back, not able to really land the shots that he wanted to land, goes and just says, "You know what? I'm going to come up there and I'm going to start popping him right in the mouth." And it's exactly what he did. When it comes down to it, Lopez is finally getting inside, starts to land some hooks. Garcia, I feel like he got a little bit too impatient, like I said. Uh, but of course, he's a fighter. That's kind of what you do, right? But he kind of left himself open just a little bit too much, and he's able to come in there, get that really nasty KO on him. Or Lopez is able to get the nasty KO on Steve Garcia, and I believe it was at like 4 minutes, something like that, in the second round. Which of course all fights end in knockout, so this is going to be a really really cool card to really cover. But yeah, regardless, knockout win for Diego Lopez. The next fight, we had Bo Nickel taking on Kyle Dawkins. Bo Nickel, he's going to go up to 9-1. I think Kyle Dawkins is like 17-4 now. A guy that's just a little bit too good to not be in the UFC, but not really good enough that you think he's going to be in the top 15 at this point. It's pretty early on. Bo Nichols, you know, really realizing that he's not going to just let himself get like knocked out here. He's going to take him down to the ground. He's going to use what he does to his advantage, and he's going to use it really, really well. Eventually, they get up. Bo lands some really, really nice shots and ends up getting the KO at the end of the first round. I believe it was like 4 minutes 30 something. Bo, I think they were talking about, is probably now a top 15 fighter, which is actually crazy to think about. If you really think about that fight, I think that the Ritter would be a really, really cool rematch at this point. Uh, and that could be something we try to do in the future, is try to make up like some, what's the word? Is try to make the matchups after the fight, like Diego Lopez. I'd love to see him fight like Lerone Murphy. I don't know what the future is for Kyle Dawkins, but Bo Nickel, it would be really cool to see him fight anybody in the top 15 at this point. Next fight, you have Michael Chandler, who is like 23-11 or something like that. He loses his fight to Mauricio Ruffy, who is now like 14-2, I believe it was. Yeah, this was as much as I like Michael Chandler, I've been a big fan of Michael Chandler, especially since from like the Bellator days where he was fighting like Will Brooks and Eddie Alvarez, David Rickles, like fighters like that. And if I'm getting those names wrong, Eddie Alvarez is probably the only one that I remember completely, but I swore there was like a David Rickles. Re- Regardless, this is not about him. We're talking about Ruffy, who got landed the really really brutal knockout later on. Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. He lands that head kick and then just starts throwing ground and pound on top of him. Lands takes Michael Chandler out of there. Michael Chandler, a very good fighter for a long time. I just think that this might end up being his swan song, unfortunately. So I'm gonna give this one to. Ruffy ended up getting the win, so shout out to him. He really deserved that. The next fight, I believe it was Josh Hokett. Yes, it was Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis has been fighting the UFC for a very long time. Josh Hokett, he's been kind of with the antics and everything like that. I'm not gonna talk about the post-fight thing. I personally thought that was kind of uncool, but that's up to the fighter himself. Hokett goes to like 10-0. The fight went exactly how I expected it to, which Hokett lands or ends up, tiring him out and winning by KO. I could have assumed a decision if he was just going to wrestle him all day, but Hokett was also able to take him down in the first round and just land as much power shots as he wanted. So I was able to realize to myself that, oh yeah, this fight's probably going to end in a knockout or a submission. But he couldn't finish the armbar in the first round. Derek Lewis just sat in there for probably what seemed like a minute. Regardless, Hokett gets himself the win, the knockout. I could definitely. He's calling for Alex Peña. I don't. We'll get to that later. I don't really care to see that fight. Derek Lewis wants to fight like Tai Tuivasa or something like that. I don't know, but regardless, for me, I do not really think that Hokett and Pereira makes sense. Again, we'll get into that. I could see a fight with like Volkov. That'd be a fun one, but I will get there when we get there. The next fight you had Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Haymin Zahabi. I'm probably gonna say that name completely wrong. I was very impressed with this fight. I thought Zahabi looked really, really good in the first and second. Unfortunately, he ends up getting KO'd in the second, and I thought that might be a tiny bit of a quick finish, but I could definitely be crazy on that one. He's Zahabi's landing leg kick after leg kick, and it's just bothering O'Malley because O'Malley really likes to really move around as much as he possibly can. He ends up landing some really, really good shots in that second round, though, and ends up getting the put away. I was really surprised about this. I thought Zahabi looked really, really good in the first round. Uh, the leg kicks, he was finally kind of Sugar signs finally like switched some stances up a little bit, and I think that's kind of what made all the difference in there. But I thought Zahavi looked really, really good. For O'Malley, Murad Dvalishvili is probably going to take on Peter Yan for the third time. The Corey Sandhagen fight makes a lot of sense in my personal opinion. If not, Umar is also on the table. I'm sure he doesn't want to take a wrestler. I'm sure he wants to take on Peter Yan himself. But I guess we'll see what happens from there. As long as Peter Yan's not, kneeing people on the ground, I think that we'll be in a completely decent shape on that one. But yeah, what a win for Sean O'Malley. I believe he's like 13-3 now. No, no, he's like 20-3. Yeah, he's been fighting for a while. All right, so we now have the co-main event of the evening. Surreal Gone takes on Alex Peña in for the interim heavyweight championship. We know the eye pokes of doom that happened to Tom Aspinall have kept him sidelined for quite a while. He's now signed with Eddie Hearn, who just does not want to let him sign any kind of contract unless he's getting paid, something like that completely. Regardless, Surreal Gone looked way better than I thought he would. Uh, Alex Peña, he doesn't have what John Jones has with the takedowns, so Alex Peña eventually, Surreal just looked really, really good. He looked really fast. He looked really strong. Looked really agile, and was able to land a knockout. Alex Pereira, which I'm saying his name probably completely wrong, to be completely honest with you. But regardless, he kind of falls for the UFC cover curse because we saw what has happened to Izzy since then. Saw what has happened to Volk. I don't think it's really went down a bad trend. Um, Valentina, she did lose her belt for a while, but either way, regardless, that the UFC curse, like covered curse, is really starting to show just a little bit. But hey, big win for Surreal Gone. I believe it puts him like 13-2. Sets him completely up with Tom Aspinall. Hopefully they get that fight done soon. I would love to see that fight soon. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens from there. Another knockout from Surreal Gone. Shout out to him, and I believe he gets himself a performance bonus. Now, the main event of the evening, it was everything that we expected it to be. Justin Gaethje takes on Ilia Topuria. Gaethje ends up winning this fight by corner stoppage at the end of round 4. I believe he's now like 28-5, which is crazy enough, but he has knocked out a lot of people. Justin Gaethje, man, what a good fight this was. They were throwing left and right. Gaethje was just all over the place. He was dominant. He was looking very phenomenal in this fight. And yeah, he ends up getting himself that TKO win at the very end. And let me be clear, I'm a big Ilya Taporia fan. He had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life and everything like that. No excuse there, though. I mean, he's had plenty of time to get ready for this fight. Gaethje, he finally gets to spend his moment in the sun as the undisputed lightweight champion, even if it is kind of a little disputed since, Khabib and now Islam have dropped the belts. But regardless, shout out to Justin Gaethje, Justin the Highlight Gaethje, getting himself a KO. Uh, what a what a really good fight. They win fight of the night. Gaethje wins himself a performance of the night bonus. So shout out to him. Overall, a really really fun card. Hopefully there's even more like that. I believe the next fight night is like Manel Kate versus Kyoji Horiguchi, who Horiguchi was in the UFC years ago, so that's kind of cool for him. Uh, Let me know. Let me know if you want to see more UFC reviews. We'll keep trying to do something like that. I really wanted to get this one out. But yeah, regardless, if you guys liked the kind of video, my name's Cody Lear. Leave a like, a comment, a subscribe. And we'll see if we can do more of these. This was a lot of fun to cover and a lot of fun to watch. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you all next video.